Hello, it's Nancy Juetten, and today is the day that you've been waiting for, the day that you've been anticipating so that you can learn all that you need to know to podcast guest for good and profit. I've been counting the minutes until today's live call. I'm super excited to welcome you, and I'm a huge fan of getting started right on time, and so I'm going to start right on time. I have an able assistant behind the scenes looking to respond to any of your requests to join the group at the last minute, because I know sometimes people are last minute Susies. And I want to make sure that you have everything you need to be getting the most value from the time that we have together. So I would like you to first and foremost close all your windows if you can possibly do so you can give me your full and complete attention. Gary, I'm so glad you're here. Can't wait to give you more value. If you're here, go ahead and post a note in the chat and say, hey, I'm excited to be here, and this is what I want to learn today. Or, hey, I'm here today, and I'm calling in from Bellingham, or I'm calling in from Europe, or I'm calling in from Japan, or I'm calling in from Florida, or I'm calling in from Canada. I'd love to know the scope and reach of this message, because I know that we can touch and transform a lot of lives right now, right here, just as a result of this masterclass that we're delivering today. Now, because I'm one of those be prepared for every opportunity kind of people, I want you to be prepared as well. So I went ahead and prepared a workbook for you, And for those of you who registered officially for today's training, it was likely delivered to you at 12 o'clock Pacific time today in an email. But if it wasn't, or it landed in spam, junk, or promo folders, don't despair. If you go to the horizontal navigation at the very top of the Facebook group, there's a button that says more, and you can hit the downward arrow caret, and it will show you the Files tab. And if you go to the Files tab, what do you know? You can download the PDF of the workbook so that you can have the cliff notes of what it is I'm going to be sharing with you today. And you can also have a place to capture notes and questions. And if there's next steps that you want to take with me, there's steps that you can take as a result of today's call to go dig in and learn a little bit more. I see that Rita's here, and Kate is here, and Dorothy's here from Caledon, Ontario. Love that. So we've got people from Bellevue, Ontario, South America. What do you know? That just boggles my mind. You know, years ago when I started my business, I just wanted to have enough. I wanted to do business with people in my own backyard. And then people told me, Nancy, your work could help people around the world. Why are you thinking so small? And now I have people around the world that tune in for our live calls and are part of this group. And my invitation to you is to start thinking that way for yourself. What if you had people from other countries, other cities, places you've never even seen on a map, that were making it a priority to attend your live calls, your podcast guest experience, whatever it is? What if those people were finding out about you and couldn't wait to hear what next you had to say? This is the hope that I have for every single person who's joining me live during this call, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about. So if you need a workbook and you don't yet have one and you need some help, go ahead and post in the chat below, because my assistant Jennifer will help. And Jennifer Carey is trying to get on the call, and she just sent me a private message, and I think she needs an assist. So hopefully you can help her. And for those who are late to the party, don't worry, I'm recording the call, but I want you to be live, because I'm sure you're going to have questions. And what an unparalleled opportunity this is for you to be able to get my answers direct to you live and in the moment. And I'm pretty good live and in the moment, so there you go. All right, windows are closed. You're giving me your full attention. You've got your workbook in front of you. Let's get this party started. All right. So what if you could speak up and share your mission, your message, the flag you are waving, the expertise that you bring to your ideal audience, and you could do so without leaving your house, and have the message travel to hundreds or thousands or more people who don't yet know who you are? Wouldn't that be amazing? Give me a yes in the chat if that would be amazing. And wouldn't it be even more awesome If because people heard you on a long form podcast conversation, a dialogue where you got to be yourself and deliver your magic in the way that you do, that people who heard that message liked your authenticity and your generosity and your expertise so much that when they got on the phone with you to inquire further about what it is that you do, that they were ready to buy. Would that be a good outcome? Let me see a yes in the chat. Because if those are two wishes that you have, that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started, I want you to set an intention. I say this affirmation to myself every single day. I want you to set the intention and belief, and here it goes. My work deserves a much wider audience, and my business is worthy of sales beyond expectations. Come on, say it with me. My message is worthy of a much wider audience, and my business is worthy of sales beyond expectations. So much of what we accomplish in the work that we do starts with where our mindset is right this very minute. I've heard from a number of you leading up to today's call. A couple of you have said things like, I'm tired of people bellying up to the free bar, stealing my time and not buying anything. I'm tired of people kicking the tires. I'm tired of people discounting my value. If you're tired of all these things, the opposite of that is your work deserves a much wider audience and your business is worthy of sales beyond expectations. If what it is up until now has been a disappointment, shift your thinking and believe that now is your time. Now is your time. You are absolutely worthy of sales beyond expectations in ever increasing amounts, and that should start right this very minute. If there's anything we've learned from the last 14 months in particular, as people were suffering from a global pandemic that shut the world down, is that we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And if we can put more wow in our todays, instead of putting more things on the calendar for someday, well, if ever is a time for us to embrace that, it's right now. Don't you agree? I'm seeing lots and lots of yeses in the chat. Love that. Love that. So, okay. You've got your affirmation. Whatever your disappointments have been, let's kick those to the curb. Let's keep our eyes straight ahead. Because you know something? Right about last March last year, just like many of you, my whole business kind of took a stall. Gosh, I'm a speaker. I'm a trainer. I'm supposed to be on live stages. I'm supposed to be in front of people delivering my magic. And then all of a sudden, for reasons outside of all of our control, we're not able to do that anymore. Well, I, for one, wasn't going to let that take me out. I used to be a publicist. I stood behind very powerful people like Roger Staubach, the football great, Fran Bigelow, America's finest chocolatier, Alice Cunningham, the founder of Olympic Hot Tub Company. I know what it's like to stand behind powerful people and make them look really big in the media. But I'm not going to let anybody take me out because of something beyond my own control. So I decided, why not turn those publicity skills that I know so well to my own expertise and start broadcasting my brilliance from all the virtual stages and the podcasts and the mastermind groups and the Facebook groups where I could add value. And you know what? I have spoken more in the last 14 months than I probably have in years, because I set the intention that my work deserves a much wider audience and my business is worthy of sales beyond expectations. And I put my blinders on and I just went downtown. And I want you to know that I have been guiding my clients to do exactly that. And they are going downtown and they are booking themselves on 4 to 12 podcasts in 12 weeks. They are speaking up to audiences that allow them to scale up and serve more people with their 4-figure offers. And they're being able to do this under their own power without having to hire an expensive booking agency. And if those are results that you're excited about, let me see a heck yeah in the chat, because that's what we're going to dig into just right now. Let me see how many heck yeahs I can see. Let me see them. Can't load comments to some destinations. I wonder what that's all about. Well, alrighty then. When I another personal story. I've told this story before, but for those of you who may be new to my business, my experience, my story, my dad was an actor in Hollywood, and we lived in Southern California, which was very status conscious. And he would go out on auditions, and the casting director would either decide to hire him for the gig or not. And every time he would go out on these auditions, he would pull out all the stops to perform. And then he'd come home and he'd tell us that he nailed it. And then we would wait. And then we would wonder. And then we'd pray. And then we would worry. Because when it came time to getting groceries, it was either we were going to have a full basket of whatever it is that we wanted, or we were going to be trying to pull together some kind of a meal with coupons because we didn't have enough. It's a very disempowering place to stand, to not be able to call your own shots. And so I knew at a very early age that that was never going to be my choice. And so is it any wonder that one of my greatest desires has always been, I want to be able to drive my grocery cart down the aisle at the fine grocery store and put whatever it is that I want in my shopping basket. I started my business with the desire to buy better groceries. Pretty soon I got too busy to cook. And over the years, I've made millions of dollars doing what it is I'm doing for you now, which is teaching, training. I have worked with clients with big names and clients with names on the rise to help them in uncommon ways where they were seen, heard, helped, championed, and ultimately compensated for their winning ways. And these are the kinds of outcomes that I want for you. So let's take a quick poll, shall we? If you're live on this call, I'm going to give you 3 choices. The first choice is, I'm curious about podcast guesting, and that's why I'm here. Put a 1 in the chat. The second choice is, I've been dabbling, and I'm likely to continue to dabble, but I might want to go more. And the third choice is, I'm super serious about raising my voice and making my impact in every possible way. And I know that podcasting is right for me. That's why I'm here today. Go ahead and put a 3 in the chat just to let me know who you are and what we're all about. And I'll wait for those comments. I see lots of heck yeahs in the comments. I love that. So good. So, so good. So what are you going to learn today? Number 1 is that you can speak up on live and virtual stages and deliver your message. I'm going to teach you how to be media ready, media savvy, and on message so that you can have the confidence to show up like a rock star everywhere that you go. And I'm also going to teach you how to quickly meet hosts who may be interested in your expertise, even if you're brand new to podcast guesting. And I'm also going to share the number 1 thing that you might not consider that could make the biggest difference when you're on a show that could open up the floodgates to opportunities that you had no idea how good they could be. And I'm also going to give you an opportunity to go a step deeper with me if you so desire and feel that I may be your teacher. So that's what we're here to do. My big overarching idea for you right now is, if you want to speak more, then speak more. It is a decision you make. It is not something that you have to wait for permission to do. I remember that Joan London, who used to wake us up with Good Morning America every morning for 30 years. And then one day she wasn't the host of Good Morning America, and she was waiting for the phone to ring so that she could have an opportunity to make her way in the world. She got very tired of that very quickly and became this amazing entrepreneur who created her own opportunities. And that's what I want you to consider right here, right now. You can speak up 3 different ways at any time on demand and have your voice carry around the neighborhood, around the region, around the world, around the block. It's totally up to you. Number 1, if you are fortunate to lead a tribe like a Facebook group like what we have right here, you can speak up to your Facebook group. You can go to your Facebook business page and you can do a live broadcast from your business page. You can get invited to deliver a closed door training for someone who leads a mastermind or who leads a Facebook group or who has their own community where they need expertise like yours to bridge a gap not yet met by their own programs. And you can also speak up on podcasts. And when you work all legs of this stool, you will find that you will be able to get yourself speaking up wherever you want to speak and deliver your message to people beyond those that you are referred to so that your business can scale up. And wouldn't that be a brilliant outcome? You know, some of us are really good at speaking and using our voice to make our difference. And some of us are really into tech and doing all kinds of glitchy code related things that make our head spin and our eyes glaze over. Just curious, are you one of those folks that loves the tech, or are you the person whose eyes are glazing over? If your eyes are glazing over, type in MEGO. That stands for my eyes glaze over, and I'll know exactly what you're talking about. Because listen, I've learned enough about tech to be more than slightly dangerous, but when given the choice, I would much rather look right into a camera, be eye to eye, nose to nose, and toe to toe with a human being than to do any of that tech stuff. And you know what else I know to be true? We are all hungry for human connection. We want to feel the tone of voice. We want to feel the heart of the people that we're working with. We want to feel the measure of their commitment and their conviction to service at the highest level. And that comes forth as a human being, voice to voice, eye to eye, and nose to nose better than any other automatic funnel that you might be familiar with. And that's why I am such a fan. And look at all these Magos, Mago, 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 Mago. Yeah, see, you people are my people. You're my people. So those are the ways to show up. You speak up to your own people. You speak up for the audiences of people that invite you to be a guest, and you guest on podcasts. And so what I want you to do is I want you to also have a mindset shift. Say to yourself, I'm not just dabbling and hoping and believing that someone's going to call. No. I want you to get ready for those big opportunities now, as if the most important person was going to call you tomorrow. And I want you to be so ready for that, that their head is going to spin with their good fortune for crossing paths with you. I want you to stop winging it. I want you to get ready to play big. And I want you to believe and behave as if you are worthy of it and your message is worth sharing in this way. Because when you do that, you are the unicorn guest. You are the person that is their favorite from the very first point of contact. You're the person that gets those emails from the host that says, oh my gosh, out of the last 100 guests I have served, nobody has been better prepared, more gracious, more interesting to talk to, more aware of what's important to me, and more a joy to work with than you. When you create that kind of impact, the way you show up, the sky is the limit, and there is no end to the upside you can welcome. So now, speaking of upside, who wants to talk about money? Anyone want to talk about money? Put a $sign in the chat and let me see if you want to talk about money, because that's what we're going to talk about right now. Let me ask you a question. What is your very favorite way to serve your ideal client? Do you have a 4-figure flagship program or a 5-figure flagship program that when you get to lead people in that method or program, you're like a pig in mud, and more importantly, they are too, because you're like 2 peas in a pod getting wonderful success together that you couldn't accomplish on your own? Do you lead VIP days? Do you sell books? Do you sell training programs? Are you a paid keynote speaker? What is your favorite way to make your best impact and also your best money? Oh, look at all these $signs. I love that. We've got 4 figures, we've got 2 figures, we've got 1 figure, we've got a whole bunch of $signs there, a lot of enthusiasm there. So what I want you to think about right now with your mind's eye, your favorite program, and let's assume that it is a 4-figure program. Let's do some serious math. If you were on 20 podcasts in the next year, and these podcasts were in service to audiences that are aligned with who you serve, and you had a long-form conversation with the host and delivered massive value, and it was such a good rapport, and it felt so good to everyone that when the host said, tell me, Caitlin, where shall our viewers go to take a step in your direction? And you're able to say, well, I'd love for you to go download my ABC report that's going to solve this particular problem in record speed, and I'll see you on the other side. Well, if all those people rush to go get your report and even one person decided to engage with you in your 4 or 5 figure program, you just got amazing return on investment of your time and effort speaking up into that microphone. If there were 20 of those gigs, and I'm just going to pull from air a figure of $5,000, that could be a $100,000 stream of revenue just by you showing up on a podcast and delivering your message brilliantly with beautiful rapport and a specific, terrific, problem-solving call to action. That is a big, big deal. So you can see why I get so excited about teaching this material, because if you are selective and strategic and you book yourself on the right shows and you're talking to the right people, even if there's only 100 people listening, what is the likelihood that you can show up in service, deliver the magic, and have at least one person say, that is the answer to a prayer. I've got to run and not walk to give a call to Spencer or to Gary or to Victoria or to Dorothy or to Dan. This is what I want for you, and it's all very much within your reach. And that is because podcasts are everywhere. The last time I checked, there were 1.8 million podcasts that we're producing, and more start every single day. Now, not all of them are going to be right for you, which is important for you to know who your niche audience is so that you can narrow the field into the ones that are right for you that will be a great use of your time and energy to investigate. But why do I love podcast guesting? Because I'm just turning my eye to a different page here. Just bear with me for a second. Podcasts are a very accessible way for you to deliver your message. Hosts are looking for people just like you. If you have a wonderful conversation, you can invite people into your world. Podcast guest spots live online indefinitely and are searchable, which makes it easier for people to find you and listen to you and get excited about how you help so that they want to have another step with you. And there are several other things about podcast guesting that I like. Earlier, I was talking about how important it is to have a human connection with human beings that you feel akin to. Well, podcast hosts tend to be cool people that you can collaborate with, you can connect with, you can have conversations with, you can build community around. It's like the wild, wild west. And here's the part about it that I think is the most fun, and I bet you a lot of people are going to appreciate this. Isn't it fun that when there's a one-to-many situation, you're having a conversation, it feels less threatening and it doesn't feel salesy at all? So you can have fun. You can get on the phone or a Zoom call or a Skype or however it is that the host wants to do it and have an uncomplicated conversation. You can exercise your levers of persuasion, be real as a human being in that conversation and non-salesy. And when people love the way you show up, guess what? They always want to learn more. And that means that they come to the discoveries calls already knowing what you're like, how you help, what problem you solve. And then it's just a matter of someone saying, you know, I heard you on the Glambition podcast and you totally rocked it and shared a disruptive point of view that really resonated with me. How do we work together and can we start as soon as possible? How many of you would like to have your sales calls qualified for you because of the excellent job you do showing up as the best version of yourself on a podcast? So today, hopefully you're already convinced that this is something you want to do. I want to do 2 things in particular to get real value delivered and action accomplished while we're here. I want you to get podcast ready, and I'm going to share with you some tools to help make that possible so that you can be ready and positioned properly to be chosen. And then I'm going to guide you through the other P's in my system so that you can see that there is a method to this madness that can be repeated again and again to your advantage. Now, when you're podcast guesting, In a lot of cases, it's audio only format. So for a lot of people, that's a huge relief because you don't have to worry about hair, makeup, lighting, setup, that sort of thing. And if you've had bad hair during COVID-19 or haven't been able to get to the hairdresser, you might be just singing a happy tune, just the fact that I've mentioned it. But there are a number of other shows that like to repurpose across multiple platforms, in which case how you look and how you show up does really matter. So a couple of little how-to practical things is always be mindful of what you look like when you're going to show up on camera. If you're a polished professional, show up as such. If you're a grungy, tattoo wearing, earring wearing guy with a tattoo, show up that way. You're going to want to pay attention to what people see behind you so that we don't see your dirty dishes. We want you to have lighting to the left or right, or however is going to be most flattering to your complexion and your person. And then, of course, we also want you to have a quality microphone so that the sound quality can be pleasing to the hundreds or thousands of people who get to listen. Now, don't go Mago on me and get all crazy about tech and how crazy that's going to be. I don't want that. No, 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 no. So you're probably wondering, what kind of a microphone should I use? Well, I spoke to Michael Neely, who has done over 400 podcasts and interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people. And I asked him what his best recommendation is. And he told me he recommends the Audio-Technica ATR 2100X. Audio-Technica ATR 2100X. I Googled it today, and you can pick one up for about $150. And I use a Blue Yeti, and I didn't do the full study about all the technical goodies that you have to know and do and have. I just thought, well, this is the one I hear people are saying is really good, so that's the one I'm going to use. And I Googled it also today. It's about $130. So you're not going to break the bank, but you just have to have a microphone that will allow your sound to travel so that it can be a pleasure to the listener to hear. Because one of the quickest ways for people to click away from your show is if the sound quality is bad. So someone's saying, can you put that in the chat? I'm going to ask people to please type this into the chat for me. Dorothy, can I ask you, you're such a good scribe, Audio-Technica ATR 2100X. You can get that online for about $150. And the other one is called the Blue Yeti microphone, $130. Pick it up on Amazon. No, I don't have an affiliate link. I make no money if you decide to buy either one of these microphones, but I want you to have a microphone. And I also want you to have a headset for those occasions when a host is going to ask you for it, because here's what's going to happen. Say the host says, yeah, I want you on the show, fill out my intake form. And then when you get the thank you note, it says, in order to be on the show, you must have a microphone, you must have a headset, and you must be camera ready, or else we're going to cancel the show. Behave and believe as if you're getting booked on the big shows tomorrow, and have all that set up now. Because someone could call you tomorrow and invite you to be on the program, and you'll have to duff it because you're not ready. Don't let this be your fate. Thank you, Dorothy, for making that note. Okay. So what is the 6P system to be the podcast dream guest that top hosts can't wait to book? The first is to prepare and position. Then you're going to want to prioritize. Then you're going to want to pitch. Then you're going to want to ping pong. And then you're going to want to profit. And I'm going to dig in to all of these P's, with two of them getting a little bit more attention than the other four. Another big idea I want you to hear also is that being ready sometimes counts just as much or more as the message that you share. I cannot tell you how many times I have been invited to be on a telesummit where there's multiple speakers, and the host says, you've come highly recommended. I'd love to have you on as a featured expert on our telesummit. Can you please get me your headshot, your short bio, a link to your free gift, what the title of your talk is going to be, and what the 3 audience takeaway points are going to be, so our audience will win. I'll say those again. Your photo, your bio, your free gift, the talk title you're going to deliver, and the 3 audience takeaway points. When you have all those things ready to go and are able to respond at the same moment that the host asks, you have already gone the extra mile to create a wow reaction to become that host's favorite expert. Because look at it from her standpoint. She's having to chase cats to collect 19 sets of bios for all these people that didn't know the opportunity was knocking and are driving her crazy. By being ready at hello, you look like a pro as well. And that just sets you up to glide through the doors of opportunity, be brilliant in delivering your message, and have the opportunity to create rapport with that huge audience that could soon become fans, followers, champions, advocates, and clients of your brilliant work. So when it comes to preparing your bio for a podcast, we don't want to know everything you've ever done in your life. We want to know what's in it for the listener and what wow you have to bring right now, and why it's timely, relevant, and of service to the listeners that are already paying attention. Sometimes we get so caught up in all of our accomplishments and our credentials and how amazing we are that we forget to convey to the host what's in it for him and what's in it for the audience, and what's in it for him or her, for that matter, because hosts are male, female, every combination you can think of. But I want you to get this other really big idea. You think to yourself, I want to sell more stuff. That's why I want to be on this podcast. I want you to change your thinking right now. No, you want to have a juicy conversation that the audiences that are subscribing can't wait to hear. And you want to have a juicy conversation about something that host wants to learn more about so that it can be amazing in every way. If you show up with the expectation that all you want to do is sell more books, go buy some advertising, because that is not what podcast guesting is all about. So if you want to create your bio in your workbook, there is actually a hyperlink to the Amazon best-selling preview of my Bye Bye Boring Bio workbook. And it's an active link. And all you have to do is hover over it and open it up as a PDF file. And I hope you do, because there's tips in there about how to add pizzazz to your message so that you can be brilliant with a bio that opens doors. That same report also gives you access to my Media One Sheet so that you can model your information in the similar mirrored style so that you can be ready for action instantaneously. So I hope that you will take advantage of those bonus resources that make this particular masterclass extra specially valuable and useful. When you use the tools that I'm so generously providing, you will get an outcome right away. So when it comes to writing your bio, think about what you want the audience to know about you, your positioning. What qualifies you to do this kind of work? And I have many different bios for many, many different situations, but I thought I'd pull this one up, and it says, I work with service-based professionals who like to speak, who like to speak more than they like to tend to tech. They podcast their guests their way to 6 figures and beyond, so they're empowered to book themselves on the shows that they want to. I combine my years of public relations agency success, proven track record since 2009, and velvet boot of accountability to kick clients into an entirely new gear of performance and profits. I've worked with big names and little names on the rise, and I deliver all of the help, none of the hype guidance that will have you wanting to send me flowers before we're done. I mean, say whatever you want to say, but get the audience excited about why they're going to get to hear from you. And then what I want you to do, remember, your bio should be in the third person, because then the host can read it without having to transpose it from I am to she is. And if there's a weird spelling of your name where they can't spell it right or can't figure out how to say it, like my last name is Juetten. So I'll say rhymes with button, because nothing is more personal or more important to you than to be introduced properly. Make sure they know how to say and spell and speak your name so that it sounds exactly the way you like to hear it. So the next goodie that I have for you is a media one-sheet gift template, and it's in your workbook. But I want you to download it, and I want you to actually upload your headshot, your hot topics, your short bio written in the third person. Include your social media links so that people can check you out and see that you have a following. And also include any images that you may have to visually portray your wow factor. Maybe you've been seen, heard, and helped. Maybe you've been celebrated in major media like NPR or Forbes.com or the Oprah Show. Or maybe you've got some testimonials from people with big names that speak the value you bring so that your reputation precedes you just by those words. If you take a few minutes as a result of today's masterclass to use the examples I provided and to mirror your own in an example, you're going to have your sloppy first copy completed today. And here's my challenge to you. I want you to post it within the next 24 hours in the homework thread in this Facebook group. It's going to say, post your sloppy first copy right here. And I want you to upload yours because you know what? In this Facebook group, we have almost 2,000 speakers, experts, authors, and podcast guests. And some of them have shows of their own. And some of them may be looking for people exactly like you. And wouldn't it be a brilliant outcome to get booked on something already just because you got your media one sheet done and dialed with my support? Give me a heck yeah in the chat. I want a media one sheet now, and I'm going to post mine within 24 hours to be seen, heard, and potentially booked already. Who's with me on that? Give me a heck yeah with the chat. Someone is asking, where do you get the workbook? In the files tab of this Facebook group, if you go to the top of the Facebook group and it says more, and you click on the little downward arrow, there's a files tab. And the files tab allows you to see that the PDF of the workbook is posted right there. It's super, super visually compelling, and it includes all the juicy resources that I'm providing here so that you can actually get something accomplished maybe tonight so that you can say, yeah, I am actually ready for a podcast guesting opportunity and I am getting it going right now. So speaking of which, getting tactical and practical, when you do your media one sheet, you're going to want to list maybe 3 media topics that are hot for you. These aren't topics about why people should buy from you right now. These are topics that suggest what you have to talk about and why it's timely, newsworthy, relevant, and compelling to speak about right now. Get clear about what those topics are, and you will be very, very well served. You know, I talk a lot about how to get ready for opportunity before it knocks and what it can cost you and what you can win as a result. Is it any wonder that I'm booked on all kinds of entrepreneur podcasts where I'm talking about exactly that? I know who my audience is, and I reach out to podcasts that are right for my audience, and then I get all kinds of bookings. And it really doesn't have to be that much more complicated. So I want to share another hot tip for action for you, especially when it comes to preparing and positioning yourself. I want you to be the dream guest that creates the wow reaction wherever you are in the world, doing whatever it is you happen to be doing, work or not. Excuse me. And I also want you to be able to save valuable time, because I want you to imagine that you're going to do 40 to 50 podcast guest spots this year. And I want you to have all the assets that a host would ask for in one central place so that you never have to scramble at the 11th hour to give them what they need and get off the lounge chair if you don't want to. So there's a page in your workbook, and it invites you to go to a link on my page on my website called getknowngetpaid.com/interview Nancy. What you will see here is that I have my short bio. I have a 50-word bio, a 100-word bio. I have the 10 questions I most like to be asked when I'm interviewed. I have a link to my Media One sheet. I have active links to my social media profiles. And I also have images of the 3 books that I've written that are all very relevant to my expertise. And I also have my headshot. And so at any given time, wherever I am in the world, if someone calls and says, I want you on the show, where are all your assets? I can simply say, go to getknowngetpaid.com/interview-Nancy, and you'll have everything you need. What else do I need to do to become a great guest and of service to your national audience? Just imagine how empowered you will feel when you do this too. It doesn't require a whole lot of tech. You just have to create a page on your website or blog where this information can live indefinitely. But then you will never have to hunt and peck and send people one by one what they need at the 11th hour. You'll always be ready to go. And that allows you to be even more present in service to the audience that you're there to serve. So who's excited about doing that? An interview Gary page, an interview Dorothy page, an interview Dan page, an interview Teresa page, an interview Kate page. Think about how much time you're going to save knowing that you look like a rock star at hello. This is going to allow you to jump ahead of other people less prepared and get booked on those shows as the one that they want, the favorite one. You are the favorite. I'm seeing all this. Brilliant. I am. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Are we having fun yet? Listen, I know we've been at this for about 45 minutes here, but how's this going for you? On a scale of 1 to 10, have you gotten some value so far? Or would you have rather been in Philadelphia? Give me some love in the chat. If it's a 10, let me know. If it's a 9, let me know. What do I need to do to be of service so that you feel even better about what we're doing here? All right. So now, we've gotten prepared. We've got our bio. We've positioned ourselves as someone who has something valuable to add. Would it surprise you to know that there are actually podcast matchmaking sites on Facebook that you can join today to start finding shows where you can guest? Would it surprise you to know that? So I want you to start responding to those opportunities. In your workbook, I offer 3 places to start. And one of my favorite is the podcast guest collaboration site on Facebook. The last time I checked, I think there were 15 or 16,000 people giving and receiving opportunities among each other right then and there. You can join the podcast guest collaboration site today for $0. And what I want you to do is to lurk, learn, and then find the courage to start replying to opportunities. Because every day there's someone saying, I have a podcast where I talk about building authority, and I'm looking for experts who can talk about relevant subjects about building authority. This is how you apply. This is the specific topics I'm interested in. And you'll notice that they're just making it so easy for you. They type in, be a guest or be a guest, or it's, I'm trying to remember. It's find a guest or be a guest. Those are called hashtags. Hashtag be a guest, find a guest. So if you want to be a guest, choose hashtag be a guest and then respond as specified. It's just that easy. And here's the part where you can go the extra mile. You go the extra mile, not by quickly responding just because you want to get your reps in. No. I want you to listen first to that podcast and make sure you want to be on that podcast. So if they give you the name of the podcast, you can go to iTunes and you can look it up. And you can notice how many episodes have they produced, how many 5-star reviews are noted. Read some of those reviews and sample what you hear. Because if you like what you hear and they have at least 20 episodes in the can and the reviews are favorable, you can be confident that people are actually listening. So when you invest your valuable time to be on that show, the message will carry to people who want to hear it. Listen first to the show, then respond in the way that the host requests. And in the comments on their order form or their intake form, that is your opportunity to go the extra mile. Because you can say, I listened to episode number 30, where you talked about feng shui methods for health, wealth, and harmony at home. And I have a unique perspective on feng shui that was not addressed in that podcast. And I think it would be an excellent follow-up session. Let the host know that you've listened to the show enough to demonstrate that you have something additional to add. And number 2, subscribe to the show. And number 3, if you really want to go the extra mile, post a 5-star review for the host so that you can offer a screenshot of your 5-star review to let them know that you went the extra mile to actually listen, to know for sure that it is a good match for everybody. The big mistake that we make is that we think it's all about us, and it's all about how we connect with the others who have the influence to unlock the gateway to what's possible afterwards. So I want you to go the extra mile. Here are a couple other thoughts for you. I know we've been talking quite a bit about podcast guesting, but what about the Facebook groups to which you belong? Have you noticed that sometimes the leader of that Facebook group will bring in experts to talk about subject matter that isn't within his or her wheelhouse? And in doing so, they get to borrow the authority of the person that they're bringing in, and everybody's star gets to rise a little bit higher? What if you start looking at the Facebook groups to which you belong with the new filter of, I wonder if I could be a guest on a future live show that this Facebook group leader hosts, and start contributing to the conversation in the Facebook group, not just to promote your own stuff, but to add value and perspective to the conversations that they're starting. I got to tell you, this is one of my most fruitful strategies because I'm just a really good contributor. If someone says something and I've got an opposite point of view, I'll say, hey, that's a great idea, and here's something else to consider. And if somebody's struggling with their message and I go ahead and generously share a different take on how they could share it so it would be even better, people start to notice what I'm doing. I'm not selling anything. I'm just giving generously. But people say to me all the time, you're pretty good at this. Do you suppose you'd be willing to come on my show and talk about how to transform boring bios from wallpaper to wow to attract clients now? Yes, I'd be happy to do that. Look at the Facebook groups to which you belong. Look at the masterminds where you're already a member. Have they covered your subject matter? Would it bridge a gap not yet met by the host's or the leader's own skill? You can be that guest expert. Another thing you can do is host your own live show every week. And I got to tell you, reciprocity is a big deal. If you do not yet have a podcast and you do not yet have a YouTube channel, you can go live once a week in your Facebook group, or live once a week from your business fan page, or perhaps live through LinkedIn when you're approved to do that. And not to sell, but to give, to contribute, to add value, to create relationships with people. Because I got to tell you, sometimes you're going to be on a podcast with somebody and it's going to go so well, and you're going to learn so much about the host that was interviewing you, that you're going to find yourself interested in learning more about their expertise. And it's just so wonderful to be able to say, listen, I've got a show of my own that's growing an audience, and the people in my community really need to know more about what it is that you do. Would you consider being a guest on my weekly live show? And I promise you that 100 people or 1,000 people or however many people are watching will get the opportunity to see it. That will help your star rise. It will help me go learn a bit more about what it is that you do. And maybe there's other things we can do together. Think about how you can create relationships with the hosts that you are excited to do business with or contribute to their shows. Think about what value they might have to bring to initiatives that you have, because that is where the real magic starts to happen. And, in my own experience, I mean, listen, I know a lot of really interesting people. In the last couple of months, I've started to think about who's the coolest person in school that I can invite to be on my show, who's going to make me actually feel nervous about having them on the program. Because you know what happens? I have to up my game to rise up to exceed their high expectations. And what I've noticed is when I've done these interviews with Steve Sims and David Newman and Nikki Ballou and people with names that you would know, they share out the interview that I worked so hard to orchestrate. And all of a sudden, all these movers and shakers start reaching out to me saying, I heard that interview you gave with Nikki Ballou where you pulled out such great stuff from him. I want to be on your show too. And all of a sudden, you're sitting up taller in your chair and you're thinking, boy, my cool quotient just went up a few notches. Do you want some of that? Giving, taking, sharing, and it's all part of the recipe. It's all part of the recipe. Okay, so now I've taught you, at least I've shared with you in your workbook, 3 places where you can start podcast guesting just by picking the low-hanging publicity fruit. And you can start doing that right away and getting your reps in and getting confident, bending and swaying with the conversation. Getting really comfortable with your sound bites, getting comfortable delivering a call to action that will bring people back into your world. And then you start doing this enough and you think to yourself, again, my work deserves a much bigger audience and my business is worthy of sales beyond expectations. And that's when you want to start thinking even bigger. Now, I mentioned that there are 1.8 million podcasts on the air today. Can your eyes glaze over any faster than they are right now? Here's my advice. To counter overwhelm, choose 8 really great shows. The great shows that you want to be on that serve your audience, your niche market, that would be a perfect message to audience match for you. All I want you to do is identify 8. And how do you do that? Well, I'm going to give you some cheat sheets, things easy to do that make it easy for you. Number 1, there's a site called Chartable, CHARTABLE.com. It's free. They have a search bar. And let's say your business is retirement planning. You can type in retirement into the search bar and hit enter, and a whole bunch of shows will drop down instantly that are all about retirement. If all you need to do is find 8 really great shows, they probably just delivered to you in a drop-down menu, just like that. Then what you want to do is figure out, read the short description on iTunes, make sure there's at least 20 episodes, and make sure the reviews are favorable and that they take guest experts. If you satisfy yourself there, then you can go ahead and prepare a pitch for those shows. I'm asking you to go to 8 really great shows. I'm not asking you to go to 1.8 million. I'm asking you to find 8. And if you pick the low-hanging fruit from the podcast collaboration sites to get your reps in, your confidence is going to grow. So then you're going to want to go to the really great 8 so that you can summon up your confidence and your conviction and start putting outgoing messages to the people who make those decisions to consider you as a guest on their show. And you're probably thinking, okay, that's great, but how do I pitch? How do I pitch? So a theme, there's a recurring theme here, is don't go formulaic, keep it personal. You're a human being. You have a human approach to getting selected on a show. So in your workbook, I actually do have an example pitch that's a template. And I know people love, love, love templates. And the beauty of this particular template is you can customize the template to demonstrate to the host that you've actually listened to the show. You've posted a 5-star review. You've noted an episode that was particularly riveting and that you have something to add to that conversation. And then it always ends, my favorite pitches always end with this: I'll follow up with you in a few days to check your interest unless I hear from you first. Looking forward to continuing the conversation. In your workbook, this pitch exists. All you have to do is apply it and adapt it to the specific pitch you want to make and do the things that I've suggested. Listen to the show. Listen to a particular episode. Call out something specific that you heard that was particularly resonant and use that as a transition point to demonstrate that you've got something to add. Excuse me. Then when you send out the pitch and you say, I'll follow up with you in a few days unless I hear from you first, what do? In a few days, you follow up if you didn't hear first. And sometimes you make a pitch and you hear nothing. And you go to that place of self-doubt and you think to yourself, maybe I was over the top. Maybe I missed the mark. Maybe it got lost in cyberspace. But then you have to ask yourself, how much do you want it? And what would it mean to your star on the rise to be on that show? And do you want it enough to actually follow up? Just like with anything. And so sometimes if I'm feeling a little pithy and a little bit playful, I'll say, if you're not stuck under heavy furniture, won't you give me a call? And I'm amazed how often people write back and say, oh my gosh, I loved your pitch. I loved your approach. I loved your ideas. Let's get you booked on the show. You got to want it enough to see it through. So how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? So now we're getting to that point of the process. We've prepared, we've prioritized, we've prepared, we've positioned, we've prioritized. Now we've made a pitch. And now what we want to do when we get on the show is we want to ping pong people back into our world. And you're thinking, what the heck is she talking about? How are we going to ping pong people back into the world? Well, invariably, you're going to have this wonderful conversation. And because were well prepared, the host is going to ask you perhaps the questions that you've posed or some questions of their own, which means you're going to have to dance with the conversation and you're going to have to just be with it and have some fun with it. But at the end of the show, they're going to say something like, hey, Tara, what a great conversation we had today. We learned so much about what it is that you do and how it is that you help. How can our listeners learn more and take a step in your direction? And that is your golden moment where you're going to want to say, thanks so much for having me. And here's where you have a choice. You can say, run and don't walk to get my easy to spell and say gift that's going to solve this particular problem in short order, like bye bye boring bio, and I'll see you on the other side. Or you could say, I'd love to have a chat. If you feel that what we've talked about today solves a fundamental problem that you've been struggling with and you think I'm your teacher, why don't you give me a call at 1-800-CALL-BILL, if that's your name, and I'll see you on the other side. Or maybe you say, I lead a Facebook group full of experts, authors, and speakers who want to raise their voice and make their impact and get help once a week through a live show that helps them learn more to earn more. Won't you please join at getknowngetpaid.com/group? Decide what it is that you want people to do and be able to say with confidence and conviction exactly why they should go and get it. Put some sizzle in the steak, some pop and some pizzazz to it so people will run and not walk. Because here's something we know for sure. With podcast guesting, sometimes people are driving at the same time they're listening, or they're mowing the lawn, or they're walking the dog, or they're doing all kinds of things. They're multitasking more so when they're listening to podcasts than they might be otherwise. So you want to give them something to do that they can remember without having to write a manifesto. So I'll say, listen, if your bio is lackluster and not blockbuster and you want some tips to make yours brilliant and door opening right now, run and don't walk to buyboringbio.com and you'll get the Amazon #1 best-selling preview of the Bye Bye Boring Bio workbook. And if you want to buy the actual book, you'll get an amazing discount to save as a new subscriber. Just be really clear about what you want people to do and what you want them to be and what you want them to have. And having that available gives you a way to measure what actually happens, terrific and problem solving, and have a way to measure to what extent it's successful. My Bye Bye Boring Bio preview converts from click to lead at 62%. So I know that the more people that go there, the likelihood of more people coming into my world as new leads is very, very high. So aim to have a click to lead conversion of at least 50% or better. And oh, by the way, in the back of your workbook, I think it's the second to the last page, Yes, indeed. There's actually a deep dive training I did with my colleague, Cloris Kiley, on your irresistible lead magnet that converts. She's much more technical than I am, much more systematic than I am. And boy, oh boy, we had a fantastic deep dive training about how to create a lead magnet that converts. So if that is one of the problems that you need to still solve in your business so that you can ultimately monetize when you take the microphone, I also want you to take in that particular training, because ping-ponging people back into your world so you can profit is a crucial ingredient that needs to be in place before you podcast guests as a steady diet. Because if you have no way to bring them back into your world, you're just talking into the air and you have no way to measure your impact. And I want you to be able to measure your impact so that you can be even more all in on this powerful visibility strategy. Okay, so I just want to bring my head up from some of my notes and just make sure that I'm delivering the value and answering questions as they come up. So just let me see here. I'm very excited. Yeah, what great information. Big value. Loving it. No, I am glad I'm here. You're so clear and concise. I'm earning a 10 from someone in Austin. 10. Great review. Great tips so far, Nancy. All kinds of emoticons. Lots of help. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Do you recommend guesting for startup podcasts? I do. We've all got friends that are starting something new. And if this is a brand new thing for you, you have to get your reps in. And sometimes you don't know to look at the camera. Sometimes you don't know when to start and when to stop. You need to get some practice. Go ahead and pick the low-hanging fruit and get some practice in. But I promise you, if you're serious about this, you're going to want to crave a much bigger audience, and you're going to want to graduate, take the training wheels off, and go big time. Do you have something about how to interview others for your show? Well, when I interview others for my show, I think to myself, what is it that I want to learn from this guest? And I craft interview questions that will allow me to serve myself and serve my audience. And some of the hosts will do that too. Even though you've got your own questions that you've created, they may not even consider them and work their own agenda. And that's another reason you want to get some practice, because sometimes you just need to be able to be on the fly and in the moment. Let's see. Compassion, character, conversion, counter overwhelm by choosing 8 shows. I'm just trying to catch up. Beyond awesome. Can you talk more about ways to find podcasts and content, connect with the hosts? Okay, Gary. Going back to the 3, I don't want to overwhelm you, but going back to the 3 suggestions I'm making about where to connect with people, if you go to podcast guest collaboration and podcast guest connection and podcast publicity, 3 podcast guest sites, I want you to start there, and I want you to create some little wins as soon as possible. Because here's the part that nobody counts on, that's the most magical, most meaningful, most lucrative, exciting part of podcast guesting. When you are a guest on these shows, they already have listeners, and many of them have shows of their own. And every time I'm on a show, it seems that I get 3 more invitations to be on other shows because someone heard me and thought I did a great job and wants me to do it again. So I want you to pick the low-hanging fruit just by going to these 3 places first. Then I want you to build your Great 8 list, and you can start reaching out directly to the Great 8 hosts that you want. But count on the spin-off engagements that are going to come your way because you were a brilliant guest who delivered amazing value. Snowball effect, absolutely. So we've talked about your call to action. So now I want to go back to, what is your number 1 way to serve? Your favorite way, your most lucrative way. And when the right number of people hear your message, and you just get 1 premium client from every guest spot, and you multiply that number of clients to that number of dollars, what do you have there? That's something you have. It's a cause for celebration. You have that beautiful music of ka-ching in your shopping cart. If you are someone who has up until this point grown your business through the power of referral and you are ready to scale up, the beauty of podcast guesting is that more people will hear you. They will be compelled to have conversations with you. They will come to those conversations more ready to close into a client, and you can put to work your whole team doing that work that you love to do. And that's so exciting because you grow beyond the power of the referral to people that you do not yet know who are only too glad to meet you right now. In order for this to succeed, you have to want it enough to do it every day. And I always go back to Jack Canfield, who wrote the book, The Success Principles, How to Get from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. He says, practice the rule of 5. And there was this anecdote that even if you took an axe to a big, huge tree and you took a swing at it 5 times every day, at some point that big tree is going to come down. So I want you to want to be a podcast guest enough to want to make 5 swipes at that strategy every single day. I want you to be consistent. I want you to be persistent. I want you to want it enough to follow up. I want you to aim high to the best possible shows that touch and transform the potential audience that you want to help. And I want you to be ready for the awesome things that happen when the microphone goes silent. Because you know what? When you are involved in a conversation with a host and you are bringing on the value and you are laughing and you are commenting and you are bending and swaying and dancing with the conversation and demonstrating your expertise and your point of view and what you know, when the microphone goes silent and the interview is over, the host will usually say, "Wow, Dan, you hit the ball out of the park. This was spectacular. Not only that, but I think I need to hire you." Or not only that, I've got 3 buddies who have podcasts and you'd be a perfect guest for their show. Or not only that, but hey, maybe we should come up with some kind of a joint venture where we collaborate in a way that's bigger and better than even what we just did right here. Be open to those kinds of conversations that will happen when the microphone goes silent, because that's how those relationships happen that last long beyond the podcast, where you are being championed by people who think the world of what it is that you do and how you do it, to the point that everything gets so much easier. In the beginning, you're going, "Oh my gosh, it's a whole new world. I don't know what I'm doing." But then when you get it, your reps in, you know what you're doing. You have the power to make the magic happen. And all of a sudden, you're getting invited to be on summits. You're getting invited to be on other shows. You're getting to be invited on other platforms. Your own conviction grows. Your confidence grows. You're doing your own live show. You're gaining the courage to ask people with really big names to be on your show. Their people are hearing them on your show and they want to be on your show. And one good thing leads to another. And all of a sudden, without even leaving your house, you're everywhere all at once. Who is listening? Who wants to give me an amen? I want some of that right now. I want to hear that. So, my question to you is, how much do you want it? And what can happen for you when? And may I dare you to want to do more with this? Because if you get outside your comfort zone and create some brand new habits around how podcast guesting can be your single most persuasive, connected human way to build your star on the rise and connect with people across the nation, around the world, in countries you've never even been in before, I would love to invite you to come along with me for something special I have coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm leading something called the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. And this is clearly my single and most favorite way to serve clients around the country and around the world who learn to become podcast guests that top hosts can't wait to book, and that book themselves on 4 to 12 shows with confidence and conviction, so that the snowball effect can gain momentum and they can have even more brilliant outcomes. Would it be all right if I told you a little bit more about it? I hear some yeses. Very good. Well, first, let me summarize. I promised you today that you would learn how to get media ready, media savvy, and on message as a direct result of tuning into this call. And I believe that you have learned how to do that. I've made a business case for podcast guesting. And when you have a 4-figure offer that you can enroll people into, if you get a number of podcasts on the calendar and you are very specific and terrific and strategic about your call to action, you can absolutely make that happen. I shared a few ways that you can meet with podcast hosts, and I challenged you to reach out to the great 8 hosts that you most want to be in association with. And I also talked about how when the microphones go silent, you have your greatest opportunity to make your biggest impact, and it goes well beyond the podcast. So I also want you to actually do the prepare and position piece right away. So with your workbook, I gave you access to the Amazon #1 best-selling preview of Bye Bye Boring Bio, and I gave you the template for the Media One Sheet. So your assignment, should you choose to accept it, is within the next 24 hours, I want you to be that amazing, get it done kind of person who actually gets this done and posts your Media One Sheet in the homework thread that I will post in the Facebook group. I want to see hundreds of Media One Sheets posted in that homework thread, not only because I want you to demonstrate that you're that get it done, make it happen kind of person, but you know what? There are almost 2,000 people in this Facebook group, and a lot of them may be looking for guests just like you, and it could very well happen that you will get booked as a direct result of taking that action. Who in the group here who's live with me today is actually going to get that done? Let me see. Let me see. All right. So, as a result of what you've learned today, is it fair to say that you're feeling more than slightly dangerous as a potential podcast guest? You know what to do. You have a good sense of what to do and how to do it. But here's what I know for sure. After working with people on their bios and Media One Sheets for the last 10 years, I know that people are hungry to have an expert like me take a look at that message and transform it from sloppy to spectacular and to door opening. And that is exactly what happens in the Broadcast Your Brilliance program. You may have nagging doubts about how to word your message or phrase your benefits in such a way as that they're sticky and that they roll off the tongue and that they're memorable. Well, that just happens to be my wheelhouse. You may need some extra hand-holding when it comes to finding your great 8 podcasts that you want to reach higher to meet, and you want some additional resources that I'm only too happy to share with you when you're in the program so that you can have your choice of great engagements. And you may have questions and need some extra support around creating your call to action and your irresistible lead magnet. And what do you know? The lead magnets I help my clients create convert from click to lead at 50% or better. And just imagine how much time that will save you being alone trying to figure this out on your own. And what I also know for sure is that pitching regularly to get your voice heard needs to become a well-formed habit. And if someone is not holding your feet to the fire to make sure that you do it, you know what? You might not. And that would mean that hundreds or thousands of listeners will go without the opportunity to hear your voice, hear your mission, wave the flag for you and the mission you're fighting for. And that would be a tragedy. These cravings, these doubts, these how-to delays, they may be stopping you from living your best impact. You know that you want to be more visible. You know that you need some extra hand-holding and support. You know that this is something you want to do, but it's almost like your nose is pressed against the glass. You're going, gosh, if I could just get on the inside, it would be so much better. And so if you want to satisfy those cravings and set aside those doubts and show up like a pro at hello and have me as your co-pilot to make sure that you are all that and a bag of chips besides, I want you to come along with me. And if you have that 4-figure offer that's already selling and you are ready to scale up, I can't think of anything better than the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp as your next best step. Now, this is a long-term strategy. This is not an overnight success. This isn't something that's for the dabbler. or someone that wants to it done for you. This isn't for someone who is a casual, oh, I'll try that on for a couple of days until I decide that it doesn't fit me, and then I'm going to set it aside. If that's where you are, this isn't for you. This is for you if you have the mindset to win. You are committed. You are coachable. You're ready to do the work so that you can have the big wins. You have a business mindset to go all in, to wave the flag for this mission, and to make the magic happen. And if you're that kind of person who's ready to go all in, I want you to set the intention that you will double or 4x or maybe even 10x your investment with the results you bring back when you ping pong people and profit mightily through the invitations that you make. So you're probably wondering, what is it? And what can I do? And what's it all about? And so I want to show you what it's all about. And so if you have the ability to go to a different browser, I want you to open it up and go to getknown.com/BYB. Then that stands for Broadcast Your Brilliance. And I'm going to walk you through what this is all about. And I'm just looking for, I was trying to find this fun little thing on the thing that will allow me to show it. And so just give me 1 second here. I'm going to fix that. Technology. Remember, don't let your eyes glaze over, people. Let's see. I think this is going to allow us to do that. Show. So on the bottom of your screen, you can see a link to the page where I want you to go to learn about the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. So what's included? What's involved? This is a 12-week journey we take together. And as we take this journey together, you're going to both master and deploy my 6P system: prepare, position, prioritize, pitch, ping pong, and profit. You are going to respond to and initiate great pitches to the shows that are right for your message. You're going to show up like a pro, ready to go. You're going to ping pong listeners into your world and create that irresistible call to action that we co-create together that will be a game changer for you in terms of your lead flow. In this intimate community that we create together, you will also create new and lasting relationships with your fellow members. And I'm going to teach you to train. I'm going to teach you all to open doors for each other. So if we have 12 people in the group and we're all getting booked on 4 to 12 shows, you're going to learn how to reach back and recommend your fellow members to the hosts that you're fortunate to be booked by, so that the rising tide will lift all the boats. I'm going to encourage you to do mock interviews with each other to get your confidence on. So when it comes time to doing the really big interviews, your camera game is right on and you are ready to show up and bend and sway and dance with the opportunities that are before you. And I'm going to bring in the spirit of competition to the training and reward you, because you know what? The person who books the most shows during the 12 weeks is going to get a private session with me to work anything related to your amplification of your expertise, because this is a wheelhouse that I've been honing for the last 20 years. And you'll be rewarded with that private time with me when you win. You'll benefit from my velvet boot of accountability to make sure you stay in action throughout the 12 weeks. And I will make sure that you are, because anything less simply isn't good enough. So you're probably wondering, how does it roll and how does it work? We meet weekly starting on June 9th, and we meet from 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific time. There are 12 sessions. And we alternate. One session is content and action coaching. The alternating week is what I call office hours. The 12 weeks gives you enough luxury to do the assignments and get engaged without having to drop any other important balls in your business. And the office hours allow you to ask any kind of question that's related to growing your business and building your star on the rise. Because you know what? Over the last 20 years, I have become a joint venture partner that is a leaderboard topping angel. I have built my list to 5 figures and created lead magnets that convert beautifully. I have been a publicist for big names, and I have a great ability to come up with angles and hooks that you can't find on your own. I'm an extremely talented copywriter, and if you need help with messaging magic, it's all available to you. And all of this is available as a brain trust during office hours. It's all done by group, and it's all the calls are recorded. And when the magic flows out of me to your ear at 2:20, I'll say, hey, Tara, it's 2:20, and that magic that just delivered for you, when you get the replay, I want you to fast forward to that moment in the call, and I want you to use exactly what I said if your pen wasn't fast enough, because that was damn good, and you should be using that. Happens all the time. So we meet weekly. We alternate between action coaching and content and office hours. You take action on every lesson. My wish and fondest intention for you is that you will book 2 shows a week, every week for 12 weeks. If you do the math and only have a $1,000 offer, that could be $24,000 in upside for you. If you have a higher tuition-based flagship program, your upside could be even greater. So you're thinking to yourself, that sounds great, but what's my investment? Well, there are 2 membership tiers. There's the standard membership tier, and there's the VIP membership tier. The only difference between these 2 tiers is if you go the VIP route, I will interview you from my YouTube channel, and I will position you as the expert that you are. I will edify you. I will do an interview that makes you look so good that it will open doors for you to get other gigs. I have been told that I am like a mini Oprah, and that the interviews that I do are better than anything anyone's ever experienced before. And I want you to have that advantage if that's something that excites you. You can use that VIP interview with me indefinitely in any way you so choose forever, so that it will open up a door for you, multiple doors for you, and give you the legitimacy that and confidence that you need to blaze through to even bigger outcomes. As you look at the sales page, you'll see that I've created all kinds of other bonuses that I've integrated into the program that may fill gaps in your skill set that you need bridged in order to feel even more confident proceeding. You don't know how to do a webinar to make $5,000 quickly? I've got training for that. You need help to name and claim your profitable niche audience? I've got training for that. You want help with your bio? What do you know? I've got training for that. And oh, by the way, my Bye Bye Boring Bio 2020 workbook, which is really fantastic, is actually going to wing its way to your doorstep so it can become part of your business success library forever. There's so many benefits that are all explained on the BYB page that I want you to really luxuriate in what's available there, so you can say, wow, this is awesome, and I want it. And so what do you need to know in terms of being able to say yes right now? I've got a few exciting things I want to share with you. Number 1, for very busy professionals who are already selling 4-figure offers, one of the biggest objections I hear is, I want all that, but I don't have time to do all of that. Does that resonate with anybody? Let me hear a resonate in the chat. Yeah, you nailed it, Nancy. That's my problem. Well, I've got a way to solve that problem. If you are that busy, but you want to speak up, if you have a dedicated team member, a marketing assistant on your team for your company, both you and your marketing assistant can attend together. You can show up for the interviews, and your marketing assistant can do all the rest of the work. So you can divide and conquer, and there will be no additional tuition paid. This will be a way for you to get systematic and to have this skill set reside in your company for as long as that marketing assistant is on your team. And you will never have to hire out a booking agency unless that's something that you both decide you want to do. But why not let your marketing team member come with you, do some of the work that's best in her wheelhouse, so that you can show up and be brilliant in yours, the person on the microphone. I think this is so, so generous and so valuable that I wanted to bring it out first and foremost, because that is the number 1 objection I hear. I want all that, but I don't have time to do all that. Bring your dedicated marketing assistant with you. I will work with him or her on your behalf. You can come to the calls as you can, and let's make this happen. Number 2, if having that interview with me is really exciting to you, just know there are only 7 spots for that. And if you want that, you'll want to be first to register as soon as possible. Because once they're gone, they're gone. And it's just a time thing. I mean, 7 interviews in 12 weeks in addition to everything else on my plate. I want to really give those interviews my very best, and I want you to be there to enjoy them. Earlier in the call, I mentioned that you got to get your audio and your video squared away. When you are the first 10 to join either membership tier, I am going to send you a $150 Amazon gift card so that you can buy the microphone or lighting or whatever accessories you need that will suit your computer, and you will be all set. That is for the first 10. So I hope that you're in the first 10. And then I think the other reason to do this now is to have the satisfaction of knowing that you've just made a timely and financially responsible decision to show up as the world is reopening to travel just about every kind. Because you know what? While people are getting on trains and planes and automobiles, they're going to be listening to something. And the people that are entrepreneurial are going to want to learn more, earn more, and figure out new skills and abilities that they can master. And what if while they're doing planes, trains, and automobiles this summer, they're listening to you? And you're getting to enjoy the benefit of your voice carrying wherever you happen to be traveling besides. That means you're going to enjoy the visibility, the leads, the connections, the collaborations, the cash, your star on the rise, and one good interview always leads to another. I've been doing this training for a long time, and as you read the testimonials on the sales page, you'll see that people's needs are being met and exceeded. They're getting what they came for and so much more. And I want you to have that same outcome. So I would love for you to come on board. You can simply go to getknowngetpaid.com/BYB and say yes. Choose either the VIP to get the interview with me or the standard package. Either way, the VIP option is $29.97 and the standard package is $19.97. And that's as simple as it gets. People ask me, do I do payment plans? And I say, no, I don't. Let your bank card be your banker so I can give you the full benefit of giving you my full boat attention on focusing on the content, the delivery, and the results that you need as opposed to chasing payments. I want you to be in, all in, and I want you to get what you came for and a whole lot more. In terms of the guarantee, there's a action taker guarantee noted on the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp page. It specifies what I expect and how you can get the value. This isn't the kind of thing where you start and say, nah, not for me. Read that sales page with amazing conviction, lean into the benefits that I'm describing for you, and decide to be all in, and I will go all the way for you. But there's always risk in everything that you do. But I don't have people asking for refunds because I go the extra mile. That's just the way I do it. And I'm expecting that you will go the extra mile too. So I want to honor your time, and it's almost 2:30, and I said this would be 90 minutes. So I want to let you know what to expect going forward. Today was the masterclass, and today's the day for those action takers to take advantage of. If you want to be one of the first 7 to get that interview with me at the $29.97 level, go ahead and hurry, get those. The first 10 to say yes are going to get a $150 Amazon gift card from me so you can pick up the microphone or whatever it is that you need that'll suit for your computer. But if you don't feel ready to decide right now, that's okay too, because here's what's coming up. Tomorrow, I'm going to share with you some wonderful interviews with clients who've had wonderful success. I'm going to come on tomorrow at 1:00, and you're going to hear some client success stories. On Wednesday, I'm going to drop the VIP interviews that I've done with some of my amazing clients so you can imagine what it would be like for you to be interviewed in a similar manner as a VIP. And then between the 28th and the 31st, that's Memorial Day weekend. And I'm guessing you've got some planes, trains, and automobiles in your future too. And so I want you to have the opportunity to enjoy not only this replay, but all of the bonus replays that are posted in your workbook. because when you listen and totally consume everything that I've got for you, you're going to say, wow, she really knows this material. She really cares. I want more. And that will make you feel like there's a big bridge of trust that's been built as you've gotten so much value and you've gotten to know me so well that saying yes will be an easy decision. So between June 1st and the 8th, I want you to decide. And if that means you need to get on the phone with me for us to have a chat to get your questions answered and to get you feeling comfortable about the fit, I'm more than happy to get on the phone with you to make sure that this is right for you. Because what my fondest hope is that we will have this intimate collective of action-taking, results-making, get-it-done rock stars whose stars will be on the rise faster and further because we were together than if we tried to do this on our own. So that, my friends, is the masterclass. I hope that you are super excited to join me for the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. This is my wheelhouse. It is so squarely my wheelhouse, and it's going to be a skill set that you acquire and get to keep that will empower you to create these kinds of results again and again and again for as long as you want to raise your voice and make your impact and, of course, smile all the way to the bank. So if you have comments, go ahead and post them. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. And oh, by the way, one of the sessions I'm going to do is going to be a Q&A session, whereas all the questions that you say that come up most frequently, I'm going to do a whole session at 1 o'clock on the 27th, where I'm going to say, well, Bob asked me this question and Mary asked me that question. And I'm going to just do a whole free-for-all. So every day this week at 1 o'clock, I want you to tune in live to the Facebook group, and I want you to belly up to get any additional supplemental support or training you need to know if this is the thing that you need to say yes. We start on June 9th. We go for 12 glorious weeks. It's a spacious schedule. It's simple assignments you can execute every single day. And my velvet boot of accountability is in place to make sure you do it so you get what you came for, and we can all have something to celebrate. So I think I've done it. If I'm just going to scroll down to see what everyone's saying. Thanks. Thank you. We'll be back in touch. Thank you so much. You rock. Great session. Got to run. All in for the VIP. Teresa, awesome. I am super excited. Get VIP interview is such an important resource, as well as the Media One Sheet. Some hosts want to see you performing live on camera. Absolutely. Nailed it, someone says. Oh boy, this is so fun. I love this. I love delivering this training. I hope that you got the value. Remember, the replays are going to be posted here. And if you have other people in your world that you think need to benefit from this, please bring them over, because we have until the 8th to get our nice crew of folks. By the way, this isn't meant to be the kind of program where hundreds and hundreds of people are enrolled in it. It's going to be somewhere between 10 and 30 people, I'm guessing. And that's just fine, because that's 10 to 30 people. I can slice my heart and be present for you. And that's just the way I roll. I love to be able to help you be seen, heard, and celebrated, and ultimately compensated. Chances are we're going to get so close during the next 12 weeks that we're going to be friends for life. That's really the way I like to do my business. And I hope that that resonates for you. And where are you going to go? GetKnownGetPaid.com/BYB. Savor the words, savor the imagery, imagine your own transformation and how fiscally responsible you're going to be. I am guessing that this is the dream I'm having. Every single one of you with 4-figure offers that are already selling, you're already excited about your dedicated marketing assistant coming on with you so you can divide and conquer and succeed beyond both of your wildest expectations. I think your assistant is going to be even more loyal to you for the career upgrade that she or he is going to welcome by being able to be masterful with this training. That's going to make your firm more valuable. That's going to make all your results so much better. And I just can't wait to get started. So with that, I think, someone says, thank you from the UK. Last heard you about 9 years ago. See, people come and they stay. Don't you just love that? Where do you get the workbook? Someone's asking. It's in the Files tab on the horizontal navigation. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to close this up, and then when I'm done, I'm probably going to circle back and respond to comments and be personal with you in the Facebook chat if anyone's made a comment or a question. And if there's anything we want to do in the direct messaging arena, I'm all about seeing, hearing, and helping you. And if we need to get in a direct message exchange, I'm more than happy to do that. If you want to book a VIP chat with me, type a note, VIP chat, I've got extra questions. But remember, I'll be back tomorrow with interviews with happy clients. On Wednesday, I'm going to answer the most frequently asked questions. For the weekend, just enjoy all the replays, and then you'll be in a position to make a decision. Okay, I think I've covered it. So thank you so much for being here. And I love you all, and I can't wait to work with you and to see what magic we can make in the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. Take your front row seat and put your seatbelt on, because we're going downtown. All right, that's all I have for you for today. I will see you tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Bye-bye.